Okay, so I'd like to point out a couple things that the opposition brought up. She brought up the 80s law that, the MADD law that changed the drinking age down back to 18 because of highway funding. She also claimed that we stated that the law is ineffective because no one is following the law, but that's actually not what we're claiming. We're claiming that the law is ineffective because of the amount of deaths that occur because people aren't following the law. So we understand that not everyone who turns 20 or anything under 21 is automatically going to grab a beer and go binge drink with their friends, but we do believe that lowering the age to 18 will lessen the effects. Where is that statistic? Okay, so our opposition brought up statistics from over a decade ago that when the US did lower the drinking age back to 18, that it reduced the amount of highway deaths. However, according to John McCain, John McJames, that works at the University of New York, stated that of the 5,000 lives lost to alcohol each year by those under 21, more than 60% of them are lost off roads. So when the law was changed to go back up to 21, it was done with the best intentions, and I understand that lawmakers believed that raising the age to 21 would reduce the amount of lives lost on the road, and we're not arguing that it hasn't, but we're arguing that it's been taken it's been taken off roads and into like underground. So it doesn't stop drinking by young adults, it drives it underground, and we can't control it, and that promotes binge drinking and heavy drinking. Another point that our opposition brought up was that consistency regarding law isn't significant, and we'd like to counter that by saying they brought up that the hunting license, you have to be 12, and that adulthood can't be linked to an age, so then we argue, so why is it 21? Research has shown, just as they also brought up, that adults reach their full brain development at 25 or above, and of course that does vary person to person. However, the difference between the brain from age 18 to 21 is not generally significant enough for it to be the motivation behind it being 21. One of the initial reasons that it was brought up to 21 is because of English common law. Their common law was once you were 21, you could be a knight, you could own land, and that was how they kind of started their laws. But it's been over a couple of decades, and we think that the law is outdated. The claim that lowering the age is going to increase binge drinking is a gross overreach. The use of statistics from decades ago to foreshadow what will happen in today's society is not enough to back up their claim. The inefficiency and high death rate due to alcoholism is enough motivation to change the law, or at least try to attempt to amend it. Research has shown that adults above 25 think mostly with their prefrontal cortex, and that's the brain's rational part. So that's how they respond to good judgment and are aware of long-term consequences, so things that you would need when you're driving a car or drinking alcohol. And teens process it with a different part of their brain. So this is the emotional part. So we're not arguing that bringing it down to 18 is magically going to change it. We're going to hand them a bottle of alcohol and say, okay, now that you're younger, it's fixed. We're saying that it being 21, students at that age are put in a different social environment, and it's our culture now within the United States to drink. You go to college, almost every single weekend there's an opportunity for you to underage drink. It's created many problems within the university system, especially related to fraternities and sororities. Just up north at Cal Poly, a student died because he overdosed on alcohol, and he was left in a room just to basically die by himself because his fraternity brothers were afraid of calling the police and getting kicked out of school. So there are enough of those stories for it to be an immediate danger to the youth. So keeping the drinking age at 21 might be helpful if there's an addition of educational systems that they presented, but this law has been a law for so many decades now, and there have been little to few educational systems put out within the public school system for that to be an option at this point. Another point that I'd like to bring up is the notion that they brought up with their research that stated the earlier someone is introduced to alcohol, if a minor is introduced to alcohol, the more likely they are to drink later. We argue with that now it's a social culture, so we can't take studies that are 20, 30 years old and apply them to today's culture when it's something so ever-changing, and our culture is now embedded with alcohol. The twisted logic of the youthful minimum drinking age denies them the basic respect. The hunting license example that they used is much different than what you can do when you're 18. You can join the Army when you're 18. You can go into thousands of dollars in debt to pay your college tuition when you're 18. The gravity of 18 is seen as a large monumental age within the United States. So we do understand that 25 is renting a car, 12 is getting a hunting license, but 18 in the United States is seen as a legal adult. You can live on your own, you can commit a crime on your own and not be tied to your parents for it. So we believe that because drinking has been embedded into our society and it's become almost like a forbidden fruit, that by lowering the age and allowing them to take it in a controlled area, because 18 or under, you're most likely still with your parents, that it would stop binge drinking and hopefully reduce the high death rate to alcohol consumed that's not on the road.